The sun hadn't even begun to dip behind the rooftops of Aston before a steady wave of fans started flooding toward Villa Park. Birmingham was buzzing, not with football chants this time, but with the thrill of something much rarer. Two of the most influential artists in contemporary music, Kendrick Lamar and SZA, were about to transform the home of Aston Villa into a temple of modern storytelling, emotion, and sonic spectacle. The Grand National Tour had officially arrived in the Midlands. Welcome to celebrity rap life, where the red carpets never roll up and the spotlight never fades. The rewards are legendary. Because in celebrity rap life, every downfall can become a comeback, and every headline tells a deeper story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next. Only a few days earlier, the duo ignited Glasgow's Hampden Park with a show that was both blistering and poetic, pushing the standard for what arena concerts could feel like. And now in Birmingham, the energy was different, but just as intense. There's something about the combination of gritty urban pride and timeless soul in this city that makes it the perfect place for an act like this. Villa Park wasn't just a venue. It became the epicenter of British music for one unforgettable night. Fans from across the country descended on the area early. Some had been queuing since the early morning, swapping stories about previous Grand National shows, dissecting lyrics from Not Like Us or SOS Deluxe, Lana, and debating which surprise guests might show up this time. There were teens there on their first ever concert high, Gen Z kids wearing TPAB tees with pride, and even older fans in Wu-Tang Clan hoodies, all united by their love of two artists who've transcended genre to become cultural architects. Doors opened at 4:30 p.m. sharp, unleashing a steady stream of fans into the stadium. Security moved swiftly, the merch booths were already swamped, and a thick scent of anticipation hung over every corner of the concourse. By 6:30 p.m., the stands were a living mosaic of bucket hats, braids, designer shades, and home-printed t-shirts with homemade tour art. There were even fans with handwritten signs quoting SZA's lyrics, "I hate myself enough for the both of us," and Kendrick's "Mother I Sober." But make no mistake, this wasn't just a show. This was a statement. By the time 8:15 p.m. rolled around, the stadium had dimmed to a pulsing black. The only light came from thousands of phone screens illuminating the sea of faces craning toward the stage. Then, like thunder cracking from behind the clouds, the opening bass line of Family Ties erupted. Kendrick emerged first, dressed in all black, his energy electric, his voice razor sharp. He didn't say a word at first, he just let the music do the talking. The crowd exploded. From there, the night accelerated into something wild, sacred, and cinematic. SZA joined him moments later during Love Galore, slipping in like a celestial force draped in flowing silver, her vocals cutting through the roar like silk over steel. Together, they moved in sync, weaving in and out of each other's verses, flirting between chaos and control. Their chemistry was undeniable. You could feel it in the way they locked eyes during All the Stars, in the spaces between the beats, in the breathlessness of the crowd. The setlist wasn't just a greatest hits collection. It was a carefully curated emotional journey. Kendrick tore into DNA, Humble, and All Right with Ferocity, then pivoted into newer territory. Tracks from Reincarnated, 30 for 30, and the still undefeated diss anthem, Not Like Us. The latter prompted the loudest eruption of the night, with the entire stadium chanting, "Them ain't like US," on beat like it was a war cry. The tension between that track's origins and the joy with which it's received is part of its power. Raw, triumphant, unfiltered. SZA's solo set offered a tonal shift, but it never lost momentum. She opened with Kill Bill, her voice floating above the instrumental like smoke. The crowd sang every word, especially during the bridge, where heartbreak meets self-sabotage in a way only SZA can articulate. She moved from Shirt into Ghost in the Machine, then transitioned into the newer, more vulnerable cuts from SOS Deluxe, Lana, Forever Yours, and Twilight silenced the crowd, not out of boredom, but reverence. People stood still, eyes closed, arms in the air, soaking in every note. And just when it seemed the emotion had peaked, she paused and spoke directly to the crowd. Her voice cracked slightly as she dedicated Special to anyone who ever felt like they weren't enough, even when they gave everything. Phones lit up again. You could see grown men wiping their eyes. Mothers hugging daughters. Strangers embracing. This wasn't performative vulnerability, it was healing in real time. The visual direction, spearheaded by longtime Kendrick collaborator Mike Carson, elevated everything. The stage was flanked by enormous LED panels playing grainy, documentary-style footage, clips of protests, schoolyards, inner-city street scenes, and abstract motifs like burning roses or falling crows. The lighting cues hit with the precision of a film edit, and the stage transformed depending on the mood. A desolate apartment block during Mad City, a celestial dreamscape for Good Days, and blood-red floodlights during Not Like Us that drenched the crowd in confrontation. One of the most surprising moments came midway through the show when the beat dropped for Poetic Justice. The audience screamed, expecting Kendrick to handle the entire track himself. Instead, in a moment that felt entirely spontaneous, SZA slid into Drake's original part, remixed and reimagined, her sultry delivery flipping the male gaze on its head. It was a subtle jab, maybe even a cheeky nod to the tension between Kendrick and Drake. But more than that, it felt like reclamation. The song belonged to them now. The deeper the show went, the more layered it became. Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst, brought the stadium to near silence. Kendrick delivered each verse with haunting clarity, pausing to let certain lines breathe. And if I die before your album drop, I hope. The crowd finished it. Preach, brother, preach. And that's the thing about this tour. It's not just about flexing. It's not even just about catharsis. It's about legacy. Kendrick's Pulitzer Prize isn't just a trophy on the shelf. It's a signal that he's rewriting the rules for what rap can be. SZA's chart-breaking success and raw lyricism have positioned her as the defining voice of millennial and Gen Z womanhood. Together, they represent evolution, not only for Black music but for music as a whole. At 10:25 p.m., with the show nearing its official end, Kendrick returned for one final moment. The stadium had just finished screaming the last chorus of Not Like Us, when everything cut to black. Then, a soft piano melody trickled in. Kendrick stood alone under a white spotlight. The first lines of Man at the Garden slipped from his lips like a confession. Forgive me for my apathy / forgive me for the fame. The track, believed to be about a close friend lost to gun violence, served as a reminder that beneath all the spectacle, the man on stage still carries grief. A hush fell over the crowd. And then, almost impossibly, SZA came back out to harmonize the final refrain. Their voices, one raw, one ethereal, collided and rose into the sky like smoke from an altar. It wasn't a happy ending. It was honest. And that made it beautiful. As the house lights came on and fans began slowly pouring back into the Birmingham night, there was a shared sense of something sacred having passed through. No one rushed. People lingered. Some sat in their seats, processing. Others danced as if trying to hold on to the moment just a little longer. The Grand National Tour wasn't just a concert. It was a reckoning. And Birmingham, for one night, became the center of its orbit. For those lucky enough to witness it live, it wasn't just a memory, it was an imprint. The kind that'll stay long after the posters come down and the stage is packed away. And for those still holding out hope for last-minute tickets at the next stop, you'd do well not to wait too long. This isn't just a tour. It's a cultural event in motion. And Kendrick Lamar and SZA are steering it with intention, force, and grace. This story is far from over, and the truth is still unfolding. I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments. And if you don't want to miss the next twist, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next.